Welcome back to this lecture series on post-colonial literature. As you know, we have been discussing the rise of the middle class nationalist discourse in India over the past few lectures. And as we have seen, this middle class discourse of nationalism and of decolonization was underpinned by certain particular patterns, thought patterns, and we have traced the development of these thought patterns throughout the 19th century, starting from the works of Henry Vivian de Rosio to the works of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Now, in our previous lecture, we have focused on two significant characteristics of this discourse. If you remember, the first one was the cyclical pattern of a golden past, a degenerate present, and a promise of future recovery, a future reverting back to that golden past. And this cyclical pattern was coupled with a second pattern, which was a deep regard for the knowledge and cultural and civilizational values of the colonizer, which were used in fact as a template to script the path towards decolonization and the recovery of the golden past. And this is of course familiar to you from our previous discussion. In today's lecture, we are going to see how by the second decade of the 20th century, this nationalist discourse and its underlying patterns and assumptions was starting to get transformed. And the main figure behind this transformation was, of course, M.K. Gandhi. And in this lecture today, we will explore Gandhi's impact on the underlying thought patterns of the middle class nationalist discourse. And after doing that, we will then move on to Raja Rao's novel Kanthapura to see how this discourse, as well as the charisma of Gandhi as an anti-colonial leader, as a middle class anti-colonial leader, was molded in the form of fiction by Raja Rao in his novel Kanthapura. Right? But first, let's focus on the figure of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who emerged as the supreme nationalist leader of India in the years immediately following the First World War. Now, Gandhi's dates, most of you will probably be familiar, are from 1869 to 1948. And again, if we study the career graph of Gandhi, we will come across a trajectory that is typical of the Indian middle class, as I have defined it after Sumit Sarkar in one of my previous lectures. Now, for instance, Gandhi too received an English education, and indeed, like many of the middle class nationalist leaders, Gandhi went to England to study law. Therefore, by profession, he was, again like many middle class leaders, a barrister, and his early career as a lawyer was spent in South Africa. It was also in South Africa that Gandhi emerged as an anti-colonial political leader. And if you remember, during the first half of the 20th century, during the early 20th century, when Gandhi was in South Africa, both South Africa and India were British colonies. So, Gandhi arrived in India, he returned back to India in 1915 to participate in the freedom struggle at the behest of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. And when he arrived in 1915, he was already an established political figure. Now, in fact, by the time he arrived, Gandhi had already published his seminal text, Hind Swaraj, which would significantly transform the nature of the middle class nationalist discourse. And it's interesting to note that Hind Swaraj was first published in 1909, and Gandhi became the president of Indian National Congress in the 1920s, when he truly became the leader of the middle class led nationalist movement. So there is a gap of quite a few years between the publication of Hind Swaraj in 1909 and his becoming the accepted supreme leader of the nationalist movement in India. But in spite of that gap, if we read Hind Swaraj, we can identify almost all of the traces of Gandhian political ideology that he was to bring to play post the 1920s. And so in that way, Hind Swaraj remained a very relevant text throughout Gandhi's career, and it is still relevant as a text to understand the Gandhian political ideology and Gandhi's intervention into the nationalist discourse. Now, contrary to the version of the nationalist discourse that we have traced till the late 19th century writings of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, the Gandhian discourse undermined the earlier intertwining of the respect towards the civilizational attainments of the Western colonizer and the desire to decolonize India. And it broke this intertwining in two very significant ways. The first way was through questioning the fact that West represented a superior civilization. So, for instance, there is this famous incident in which Gandhi was apparently asked, what are your views on Western civilization, and he said that Western civilization would be a good idea, which means that according to Gandhi, Western civilization did not even exist till the point when he was speaking. So, the first major way in which Gandhi disrupted the earlier intertwining of a respect for the colonizer civilization and Indian nationalism was by attacking the very idea of Western civilization. But there was also a second way in which he was critiquing the earlier nationalist discourse, and that was by making nationalism a more mass-based thing. And we will talk about these 2 points separately in today's lecture. So, the late 19th century argument that we have already discussed, that in order to become a true Indian / Hindu, if you remember when we have discussed Bankim, we have seen a problematic overlapping between terms like Indian, Hindu, Bengali, etc. So, according to this late 19th century argument, in order to become a true Indian / Hindu, it was imperative to learn from the European colonizers and become more like them. And this desire to fashion oneself after the European colonizer was, I would say, rather ambiguously associated with a desire to decolonize oneself. And this ambiguity is best established in the attitude towards the colonial authority that people like Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay showed. Thus, for instance, in spite of Bankim being convinced that anyone with a dark skin did not stand a chance to receive fair treatment in any employment under the British colonial authority, Bankim was, as I have said earlier, equally convinced that the rule of the British was essential to teach the quote unquote uncivilized and uneducated people of present day India, the present day people who had fallen from that glorious state of the past. It was imperative for them to learn from the Europeans elements of civilization that they had once possessed, but they have now lost. So, we are already familiar with this pattern, that the British with their civilizational virtues were actually seen as good teachers who will teach the Indians the very same civilizational values which they had once possessed during the golden age, but which they have now lost and fallen into a state of degeneration. Now, Gandhi, in his turn, completely rejected this argument, because for him the loss of Indian civilizational values could be traced back precisely to the European incursion in colonial India and to the importation of quote unquote Western civilization in the subcontinent during the course of colonialism. So, what unlike Bonkim, say for instance, what Gandhi was arguing was that Western civilization, rather than being a cure, was itself the problem, because the fall of the Indian civilization, according to Gandhi, can be traced back precisely to the moment of colonial subjugation, European colonial subjugation of India. So, it is important to note here, however, that for Gandhi, not every European was tainted by the Western civilization that he was speaking against. In fact, in his Hind Swaraj, Gandhi specifies that he derives a significant part of his critique of quote unquote Western civilization from the works of such Westerners like Tolstoy, for instance, or Ruskin, Thoreau, and Emerson. These were all really profoundly influential figures as far as Gandhi was concerned. But Gandhi's text also makes it evident that these intellectuals represent a minority that stands beyond the pale of the Western civilization, which Gandhi considered to be really a Satanic civilization. A Satanic civilization which had otherwise, to quote Gandhi, taken such a hold on the people in Europe that those who are in it, those who are in Europe, appear to be half mad. And here it is interesting, if you compare this with say Conrad's Heart of Darkness and Marlowe's perspective, Marlowe seeing the Africans from his boat and considering them to be madmen. Here in Hind Swaraj, we have Gandhi comparing the entire European population under the thrall of Western civilization as half mad people. Now, hence, whereas for Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, it was important to learn from the colonizers, for Gandhi, it was important for India to unlearn what she has learned for the many years that she had been colonized by the Europeans. According to Gandhi, Western civilization was essentially different from Indian civilization, and here it is an important, a very crucial point. For Bankim, it was possible to learn elements of the Indian civilization from the European colonizers, because if you remember our discussion of Anandamot, Bankim is speaking about how to revert back, how to recover the Sanatan Dharma, right, which is typically an Indian/Hindu thing. But he is also saying that in order to recover it, we should learn from the European colonizers, which means that there are certain elements of that Sanatan Dharma which it is possible to learn from the European colonizers. What Gandhi is saying here is that Western civilization and Indian civilization are essentially, in essence, two very different things, and therefore, it is wrong to assume that you can learn one aspect or more than one aspect of one civilization by following another civilization, right. So, you cannot learn anything about Indian civilization by following Western civilization, because they were fundamentally incompatible with each other. Thus, in his Hind Swaraj, Gandhi argues, and here again I quote Gandhi's own words, the tendency of Indian civilization is to elevate the moral being. That of the Western civilization is to propagate immorality. The latter, which means the Western civilization, is godless. The former, which means the Indian civilization, is based on a belief in God. Gandhi further states that the essence of this deeply moral and theistic Indian civilization had been perfected by the ancestors of the modern day Indians and, as he said, found true on the anvil of experience. Therefore, for India, there was nothing to learn from anybody else. Thus, according to Gandhi, any attempt to emulate Western civilization was, for an Indian, tantamount to becoming detached from his or her ancestral heritage and deviating from his or her true identity, what Gandhi considered to be his or her true identity. And in here we arrive, therefore, at a fundamental critique of the desire to emulate the colonizers' civilization, which we had detected in the nationalist discourse of the 19th century. For Gandhi, such an emulation is not a necessary step towards recovering the lost glory of the past. In fact, on the contrary, it is regarded by him as a deviation from this path to recovery. Indeed, for Gandhi, attempting to imitate the Westerners was equivalent to, and he uses this metaphor quite often, it was equivalent to contracting a disease. And he uses the disease metaphor quite often in Hind Swaraj, for instance. Contracting a disease. What kind of disease? The disease of the Satanic Western civilization. Now, Gandhi, however, argues that the spread of this disease of Western civilization in the Indian subcontinent was not complete. I mean, the disease had not been able to spread everywhere, but rather it was limited to a specific section of the Indian society. And which was this section? According to Gandhi, this was the section of people who had, out of their own moral frailty or own moral shortcoming, became enamored with Western civilization and who now sought to get rid of the English so that they could rule over India just like the English. In other words, they were to perpetuate the English rule without the Englishman. And here again, this is really a very interesting thing that Gandhi does in his Hind Swaraj, where he is saying that people who have been transformed through the Western civilization, Indians who have been transformed through the Western civilizations, how can you really distinguish them from the English colonizers who are oppressing you? So, if the English educated Indian middle class, to which incidentally Gandhi himself belonged, if those kind of people come to rule, if those kind of people who were enamored with Western civilization come to rule India, even after throwing out the British, then it would not be very different, because they had already, these Indians had already transformed themselves through their engagement with the Western civilization into, well, pseudo-British, if you would like to call it that. Now, the assertion near the end of Bankim Chandra's Anandamot about English rule being beneficial for India is therefore turned on its head by Gandhi. For him, a rule by the people who transform themselves into Englishmen by acquiring their knowledge was inevitably going to be as foreign as the English rule. Hence, the process of regaining the golden past and the true Indian identity of that past did not involve being under colonial tutelage. Rather, it involved moving away from the sphere of influence of Western civilization and moving away into the remote villages of the subcontinent where the modern civilization of the West had not yet been able to penetrate. And this is an important point that Gandhi makes in Hind Swaraj, and therefore I would like to quote that section. So, this is the voice of the editor. If you read Hind Swaraj, you will see that Hind Swaraj is basically a dialogue between an editor of a journal who represents the voice of Gandhi, and a questioning reader who first comes to the editor representing Gandhi with a lot of skepticism, but then is won over by the logic of the editor, right. So, this is the editor speaking. And where this cursed modern civilization has not reached, by modern civilization Gandhi is referring to what he considered to be the Satanic Western civilization. Where this cursed modern civilization has not reached, India remains as it was before. The inhabitants of that part of India will very properly laugh at your newfangled notions. The English do not rule over them, nor will you ever rule over them. Now, you is referred to the reader, but it also refers to the section of people who are, according to Gandhi, who are enamored with Western values and who have therefore tried turning themselves into Englishmen. So, Gandhi goes on to say that those in whose name we speak, by we he refers to the English educated middle class leadership, those in whose name we speak we do not know, nor do they know us. I would certainly advise you and those like you who love the motherland to go into the interior that has yet not been polluted by the railways and to live there for 6 months. This statement about not knowing those, quote unquote, in whose name we speak, and the appeal to try and connect with them leads to the second point regarding how Gandhi complicated the nationalist discourse of the earlier period of the 19th century. Indian middle class nationalism, as it developed during the 19th century, was in essence largely elitist. And as noted earlier, for someone like Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, for instance, becoming a true Hindu / Indian and to regain the glory of the past was to move away from the state of ignorance in which the ordinary Indian has fallen at present. So, when I say elitist, I mean, I do not want you to get me wrong here. 19th century nationalist leaders had a lot of concern for the masses, but the reason for which I am saying that there was an elitist angle to this was because the very ideology was based on trying to move up from the present state of degeneration which Indian masses had apparently fallen into, and this elevation, according to the 19th century nationalists, would be possible through Western style education, right. So, when I say elitist, I refer to this trend of elevating yourself up from the masses, because the mass is looked upon as already degenerate, representing the degenerate state of present day India. Now, in contrast, as the Indian leader who was most successful in channelizing mass protest against colonialism, Gandhi repeatedly emphasized the need to integrally connect with the masses in whose name we speak. Thus, rather than trying to elevate oneself from the masses, Gandhi's emphasis was on consciously going down to the level of the villagers and the peasants and becoming one with them. In Gandhi's own words, the so-called upper classes have to learn to live conscientiously and religiously and deliberately the simple peasant life, knowing it to be a life-giving true happiness. So, as you can see, for Gandhi, there is no notion of elevating oneself through Western education. Rather, It is all about a process of unlearning the influence of the West and going back to the state in which most of India's village population, uncontaminated by the Western civilization, resides in. So, now that we have summed up the basic features of the Gandhian nationalist discourse and how its thoughts about decolonization differed from those present in the nationalist discourse of the 19th century, let us move on to the novel Kanthapura and see how it makes use of this Gandhian discourse. Now, Kanthapura was published in 1938 and was the first novel of the Indian author Raja Rao. Raja Rao's dates are 1908 to 2006. So, he led a marvelously long life, and he was born in the princely state of Mysore and spent his early life in Hyderabad. But later on he moved to France to pursue higher studies, and it was here in France that Rao wrote his English novel Kanthapura. Now, this novel by Rao can actually be considered as belonging to that cluster of new Indian English fiction that was coming up in the 1930s, and indeed Rao was one of the three fiction writers who completely changed the course of Indian English novel post 1930s. The other two writers belonging to this group of three are of course Mulk Raj Anand and R.K. Narayan. But coming back to the novel Kanthapura, though it was written in France, it does not contain any trace of Rao's life and experience in that country. And in fact, Raja Rao was going to write about that, his experience in France, extensively later on in his novels like The Rope and the Serpent, for instance, or Chess Master and His Moves. But in Kanthapura, we don't find anything like that. Rather, here we see Rao engaged with the transformative effect that Gandhi brought about in the social and political lives of Indians during the 1920s and the 1930s. Now, on the one hand, Kanthapura is an attempt to represent in fictional form the Gandhian discourse of nationalism, which by the time Rao was writing his novel had gained a significant amount of traction in India. But on the other hand, Kanthapura was also an attempt to trace the fault lines that run through the Gandhian discourse. So, the novel is simultaneously a representation and a critique of the Gandhian discourse. But we will have to come back to this point of critique in our next lecture. In today's lecture, let us see why Kanthapura is so widely recognized as a novel about Gandhi and Gandhianism. Now, the main focus of this novel is on a character called Murthy, who journeys to the city from his native village Kanthapura. That is also the name of the novel. And he goes to the city to gain Western style university education, right. So, here again we see the career graph of a middle class emerging. But then Murthy comes back to the village, he comes back without even completing his education, and the novel is primarily about this return and the Gandhian influence that inspires Murthy to make this return. Now, as we learned during the course of the novel, Murthy, while in the city, has a grand vision in which he sees Gandhi urging him to give up his foreign clothes and his foreign university education and go back, in the words of the novel, to the dumb millions of the villages. Now, this is of course an exact echo of the sentiments of Gandhi as expressed in Hind Swaraj. And remember, this is 1938, a text published in 1938, but of course the 1909 publication Hind Swaraj is still evidently relevant here, and 1938 Kanthapura is echoing 1909 Hind Swaraj. And in the way Kanthapura echoes Hind Swaraj, we can see Gandhi's version of the cyclical pattern of the golden age, fall and return that we have already traced in Derozio and Bonkim. Now, in this Gandhian pattern, the golden age of civilization is not represented by a distant past, but rather it is represented by the present generation of Indians who have remained unaffected by the Western civilization. These are the people about whom Gandhi talks in the quotation that we have discussed earlier. These are the people of the villages where railways have not yet reached and have not yet connected them to the urban centers where the disease of Western civilization is rampant. Now, the fall in this Gandhian pattern is thus a journey to the city where one contracts the disease of the Satanic civilization of the West. And as we see in the novel, when Murthy has his vision of Gandhi, he is already in that diseased state. He is already in the city where Western civilization or engagement with the Western civilization is rampant. The return to the golden age in the Gandhian discourse is in turn a spatial return to the village and an attempt to reconnect with the aspects of Indian civilization which had remained uncontaminated by Western values. So, the vision of Gandhi that Murthy has makes him give up his foreign education, and I use foreign within quotes because whether to consider this really foreign can also be a matter of argument. So, after having this vision of Gandhi, Murthy gives up his foreign education as well as his foreign clothes that he had obtained in the city, and he returns to his village where he tries to fulfill Gandhi's socio-political agenda by organizing the people of Kanthapura, organizing them, not only them in fact, but also the people of the nearby coffee estate called the Skeffington Coffee Estate, to wage a non-violent war against the colonial rule. Now, this effort to organize the villagers is not merely political in its intent, but also has a social and cultural aspect to it. So, Murthy, while trying to organize the villagers to fight colonialism, also makes them fight caste segregation as well as some of the segregations that are imposed by patriarchy. Thus, in the novel, we see Murthy himself getting gradually transformed into a local Gandhi who wages an incessant war not only against colonialism, but also against the social evils which Gandhi considered pernicious to the Indian society. In our next lecture, we will see how Raja Rao uses this character Murthy not only to fictionalize the real historical figure of Gandhi, but also to criticize Gandhian intervention into the social, political and cultural lives of Indians. Thank you.